Okay, here's the deal for today. I found out that over the winter I have a hot water switch for my hot water tank for my electricity. It's above the microwave and it's hidden, and I guess that switch was left on, and we worked on our motorhome all winter doing this and that, and with that switch on and we were plugged into power and no water in the hot water tank because we weren't flooded with water because it was winter here in Canada. That burnt out my electric element in my hot water tank. So now today I got to figure a way to get the element out. And after doing some research, the element is located behind this right here. This is the hot water tank. I looked on some forums. And this guy had said that he actually cut a hole in the bottom of the hot water tank underneath. I'm going to try to get my camera there. That big flat surface right there, that's the bottom of it. What I'm going to do actually is use a hole saw and punch 2 holes up there and see. This is what it looks like inside the compartment, and I got to get to the back here, and it's very hard to get to from the inside. I'm going to try that and I'll see how it goes. I cut out this picture window to get to the back. Now here's the piece I need to get at right here. That guy, right where I'm pointing here. I had to take this cover off. Now this cover to get to the electrical, that's about a 10 millimeter. But I had to get to the top one. That I had to crawl through that little wee opening on the other side, the compartment, to get to the top nut. And it was hand tight, thankfully, because it was a really tight squeeze in there to get that off. Now I got to take that ground off, and then I got to figure out how to get at the wires here and get them off. And then I got to hopefully find a wrench big enough to get around that element and get it out of there. It's like an 1.5 inch socket, so that's my next project here. I pulled the old one out. We ended up buying this 1.5 inch socket in a 1/2 inch drive. That's what size it ended up being. It wasn't even in there that tight, surprisingly. So I'm just about to put the new one back in and should be back in business. Upon further testing, I thought everything was working, and then I realized it wasn't working. There's a switch that goes right here, this switch. And after doing much research on YouTube, I came to realize that I wasn't getting it 12 volt power up to here. I was only getting like 5. It was odd. What I did is took the switch out and I checked on this side of the switch. It was 12 volts where it needed to be. But then I checked on the other side of the switch and it was only like 5. That was telling me there was something faulty with this switch right here. I just have this little hot lead that I connected, bypassed the switch, and now I got 12 volts on both sides, and I also got over 12 volts up here. And all these little wires all mean something. After watching a video, which I obviously knew they meant something, but this little yellow wire right here, this needs to be reading 12 volts because that's what triggers a relay, which converts the 12 volt and then it runs 120. And that's what heats your heating element. Underneath, I went and tested, and my heating element has 120 volts on both sides. I know that it's working. Now we're just gonna let the water heat and make sure it's working. I'm gonna go and buy a new trade here, and that should be my finished product, I believe. I'll let you know. I went out and bought this new switch right here. This is her. I ended up actually having to run a ground to it to make sure it worked properly, but so the only thing I got left to do now is just make it a little more neater. I'm gonna have to drill a hole here to get this through and tighten her up. But for now, the hot water's been working all day, so I'm pretty happy about that.